Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us all today to discuss the future of early years. I'm Julie Hyde, the Associate Director for CASH.
And hello, I'm Janice Spencer, Regional Development Executive for the North, Cumbria and Humberside.
So without any further ado, we will start our presentation today. This will be a slide that some of you will be familiar with, and those of you who aren't, we started as the NNEB in 1945, so 72 years worth of training and education for early years and the care sector. And we're exceptionally proud of our heritage, a heritage that has longevity and an excellent reputation in standards and assessment, which is demonstrated by the number of learners in practice today holding our qualifications. The continued success of our centres and our learners who enter the workplace with the confidence that they've been trained to the very highest of standards. And we have to say that that is what's at the heart of everything that we do, supporting the training of the care workforce, high quality qualifications and training, ensuring better care for all the end users. One of the things that I wanted to say just before we move on is that if you have any questions as you go, then please do post them and we will take them all at the end and answer them as fully as we possibly can. But I know what it can be like whenever you're on a webinar, you think about it and then you can quite easily forget it. So please don't hesitate to post your questions as we go. So we've talked about the fact that we were initiated in 1945, actually by the Ministry of Health, to support war orphans after the Second World War. And not only do we work in the early years educator and children and young people sector, but we also work with support teaching and learning, health and social care, health, all apprenticeships in our sectors, and play work. And we can't forget play work because play is a fundamental part in the development of children's learning throughout their early years. These sectors have many challenges. Population trends, an ageing population, which has impacts on the early years sector, particularly with more people working later and therefore grandparents not able to support their children with the care for their grandchildren as easily or as readily as they were able to. Economic changes, the deficit that we have, being asked to do far more with less, needing more flexible, efficient running, particularly of nurseries and settings where we are being asked to do far more for our children, providing 30 hours nursery education grant funded childcare. And you'll note that I'm not saying free childcare because it most definitely is not free childcare. Also, policy changes, apprenticeship reforms, 3 million starts by 2020, new standards, assessment and funding. We also have the health and social care and service integration and more onus on the early years sector to also support the health sector, particularly with 2-year-olds. And the impacts that there are for employers having to do far more, as we've already said, with less. We work in a low margin, low investment, low wage sector, yet we demand really excellent standards from all of our providers. We have regulators that are demanding more, and also the challenges that there lies in some of those impactful things like the maths and English requirement on entry to employment as an early years educator. That was brought in 2014 with the policy change that brought the early years educator into play. That decision was decimating our sector, and so we felt absolutely morally obligated to do the right thing and therefore led the Save Our Early Years campaign throughout all of last year. We had significant support from all of those people that you see here on this slide and many more. We had unions that supported. We had MPs that supported. membership organisations, nursery groups, colleges, training providers. This had support from across our sector, probably the most support of any campaign in recent times within the early years sector. It was significantly important because we wanted to be able to contribute to the apprenticeship start by 2020, but the GCSE issue of not having a comparable qualification, not having functional skills accepted, wasn't enabling us to do that. So all of this support, the 1,800 letters to the Education Secretary, of which there were 2 in that period of time, 26,000 hits on the website, 1 million Twitter impressions, all of that led on the 3rd of March to the workforce strategy being launched. And I have to say that it was the sector that did that. There were over 4,000 responses to the consultation that was put out last November. Over 4,000 responses. And I think it's really important to say we can influence and we can make change. So it's important, if you believe it, to do it. We secured functional skills. The workforce strategy stated that enabling staff with an early years educator, EYE qualification, who also hold level 2 English and mathematics qualifications, including functional skills, to count in the level 3 staff to child ratios. This includes any learner holding an early years educator from 2014 or currently studying towards an early years qualification, and also applies to the apprenticeship route. This is a significant change. For those of you who aren't aware, this enables us to have parity in our sector with support teaching and learning, with the health and social care sector, to enable our young people who aren't able to get a GCSE grade C and above in maths and English, but have their functional skills at level 2, to be able to practice as a level 3 practitioner. This wasn't about reducing quality. This was about enabling young people to have parity. We want all young people. Ideally, we wouldn't have an issue because everybody would be leaving education with their maths and English, but that is not the case. And because it's not the case, we now have a situation where the workforce can now employ, and we can support that. The additional elements of the workforce strategy also included consulting on allowing those with early years teacher status and its predecessor early years professional status to lead nursery and reception classes in maintained schools. So this is about providing the same status for those qualifications, for those professional people as qualified teacher status. And that's very important in our sector. Working with the sector to develop level 2 childcare qualification criteria, of which we are absolutely going to be doing that. Improving the quality of early years training and providing access to continuous professional development, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on, and providing funding to support the sector to develop quality improvement support in partnership with schools and local authorities. So these were the highlights of the workforce strategy. Now obviously it's very poignant that today we're delivering this webinar as people are voting. So we won't know until tomorrow, or in fact next week, who those key people and key figures are that will be delivering this strategy. But this strategy is in place. It is part of the early years foundation stage, and the maths and English requirement is part of law. So the strategy is one thing, but also there are some challenges for our sector with the apprenticeship. So the move from apprenticeship framework to apprenticeship standards, and you'll know that the standard isn't live yet. It has just been consulted on. That consultation has closed and we are awaiting the outcome of that. But all things being equal, when the standard is released, we then have a change, and a significant change, which is happening within the apprenticeship reform, and that's the addition of endpoint assessment. So the cash endpoint assessment offer currently covers the following standards, and that is published, and I won't read them out because you can see them there on the screen. And we will also be submitting to offer EPA for the other standards at the bottom, and you'll notice at the bottom there is the early years educator. Of course we will be submitting, but we can't do that until the standard has been approved along with the assessment strategy. But we will be offering endpoint assessment on that as well. Once level 3 has been passed, they will then move on to level 2 and subsequently the additional standards for the higher level qualifications. So that really covers one of the changes that's significant with regard to apprenticeships. And then there is the skills plan. Now the technical bill has been passed. That was passed just as the government was moving into PERDA. And that's based on the Sainsbury's review and the skills plan. And this is putting the onus on 15 technical routes. Now this next slide will show those routes. And you will note that on the left-hand side, the fourth area is childcare and education. Now, the numbers employed in that sector are 1.06 million, and that's the reason why I've used this slide, for you to see how significant our contribution is to this skills plan. It's the fifth largest sector area, and as such, we have to make sure that we have the right qualifications to support the fifth largest employment sector. We also have to make sure that we are following the government's policy and procedure, because one of the significant changes which you will have noted is that the areas, the skills plans areas, will be licensed. So each awarding organisation will bid for those qualifications that they wish to be able to deliver. Those bids will start in the autumn this year for first delivery and first teaching of the initial routes that have been agreed or will be agreed on the 1st of September 2019. This is the most significant reform in technical education in recent times and has the most implication for learners, providers and for employers. So it's really important that we all stay on board and keep our ears to the ground with everything that is going to be coming out over the coming months. There will be consultation in relation to all of the routes and the occupational areas within those routes. So if you have an opportunity, we will be making sure that we are communicating that in our weekly communication that goes out every Thursday, so that our centres are aware when those consultations become live. Because as I said previously, our sector, when consulted regarding the Maths and English in November last year, we had over 4,000 responses. If those 4,000 people had responded to the consultation initially that put GCSEs in, then we may not have been in the position that we were up until the 3rd of March this year. So please, if you see the consultations coming out, then please do respond and have your say. Because it's never been more important for us to have a clear path for our learners. We know that there are areas in which our learners can deliver and gain our qualifications, whether it's an A-level applied general, whether it's an apprenticeship, or whether it is a technical and professional qualification. And should I say that technical and professional is taking over from the elephant in the room, which is vocational. And vocational qualifications are what we, CASH, have been working with for the last 72 years. So it is our area of expertise. Those are delivered primarily in schools, apprenticeships primarily work-based, and technical and professional with full-time delivery, whether that's in a private training provider or in a college. And having that clear path at 16, there are not many 16-year-olds that know exactly what they want to be able to do. And we need to be able to do everything we can to support them to make the right choice for them, for their own individual learning as they move on their journey for their full-time education or their work-based learning. So choosing that path is really important. And I'm going to pass you over to Janice, who's going to talk to you about the paths that they may take.
Hello everybody. Right, I'm going to start with why choose CASH. And I think this is a really important place to start, is we develop the qualifications. They are developed by professionals for the professional sector. Cash is really unique because everybody you see in your centres from Cash have been in many of the same positions as yourselves. We know the challenges that you are facing in the industry because we are from the industry. So I'm going to take you through a few of the qualifications, but I want to first of all tell you why you should come with Cash if you're not already with us and what is unique. Our resources that we use, our portfolios, I always say tutor, assessor friendly. And that's really important. In our workforce qualification, we have optional tasks. I say optional because they're there as a guidance. It gives us a standardised approach across the country and a standardised approach with all learners. These tasks are written for you. These incorporate the knowledge that you use daily with your learners. And what that means is, as I say, they're optional. If you've got tasks that work great for you, good, use them. But we provide you with them if you want to use them. For some of our other qualifications, I will go into that in a minute with you a little bit more in depth, but we have got Tutor Guidance. This Tutor Guidance is excellent. It really gives every tutor assessor that starting point. We have got schemes of work in there. We are current and up to date, and that's really important because we are giving you what the government agenda is asking. We give you guidance on PowerPoints, tasks, group work, individual work. We cater for every learner's needs. And when we give our feedback, we allow you to stretch and challenge your learners. And that means we are looking at the individual needs of every learner that uses our portfolio. You can adapt them to suit their needs, their setting and their environment. Because as we know, we are all different. We are unique as well as we offer a very wide range of assessment methods within all of our qualifications, from logbooks, diaries, professional discussions, question and answers, reflective accounts. Work products can be used, which means that it suits every setting and every learner. Something which is even more unique to Cash is we have one external quality assurer. As I say, they are experts in the field, and this covers you for childcare, health and social care, supporting teaching and learning qualifications. So this is so much time saving for you as the professional. You haven't got several EV visits, you only have the one. So let's have a little look at our qualifications, and we'll look at some of them in a little bit more in depth, but we are quite unique. We cover everything from level 1, level 2, level 3 and the level 4. The level 1 qualification has no award, certificate and diploma, and is often used as part of your traineeships, so you could use part or all of it to do that with the learners as an excellent starting point on their progression, their road going forward and their journey into the childcare sector. We also have 2 level 2 qualifications, Children and People's Workforce and an Introduction to the Early Years. This means that you can find the right qualification for that learner, and the Children and Young People's Workforce is currently part of the framework for the apprenticeships. We offer quite a range of study programmes for the level 3, and I will be going into a little bit more in depth with you. And what that means to a learner is they can go into the workforce or they can go into university. We also offer a range of level 4 certificate. It's a certificate for an advanced practitioner, which can be used to look at professional development within the sector. And that's really important, that our staff have somewhere to go next, somewhere to progress. So I'm going to start at the beginning, our early years workforce. This is an excellent qualification. Like I said earlier, all your tasks for your knowledge are already wrote for you, which means you can pick up the specifications and run quite quickly with them. There is 23 mandatory units, and it's great because a learner's either pass or refer. So if they need a little bit more practice, that's great. They can do that bit more practice before they actually pass the criteria. And these are all, we set them all for you and you just mark them. There is also a longitudinal study, which is part of that. And again, I can't stress enough how many different methods you can use to help and support that learner to achieve that qualification in practice. There is the one longitudinal study, and this one is part of the apprenticeship framework. I'm now going to have a look at our EYE. We have 3 of these qualifications. This is one of our legacy qualifications. It is a Diploma in Early Years Education and Care. Again, it has 27 mandatory units over 4 different themes. This also has a longitudinal study which we set and is internally marked by yourselves. This particular qualification has 3 external assessments which are sent off to CASH and which are graded A star to D. So again, it covers your low ability learner with your really high flyer ability learner. Theme 1 and 2 are short answer papers, and theme 3 is a reflective study and extended essay. And these are the UCAS points attached to this qualification. We've put them in the new format. Skipped one there. Right, this is our EYE. This is again one of our legacy qualifications. It can be used in a FE sector or it can be used with adult learners. More centres will do the certificate in the first year and the diploma in the second year. Your certificate will not give you a licence to practice. The licence to practice is obtained in the second year at the diploma stage. This does have an external assessment which is set at the beginning of the year, and the learners can work through it with a preset date for it to be sent off to CASH. Again, on the diploma they will do that in their second year. There is with this qualification a brilliant portfolio which is Unit 8 and 15. It comprises of lots of elements that a learner skills will do within the placement sector, and it also has some knowledge attached to these 2 particular units. Because you asked for it, we have developed it. CASH is known for working with you, listening to what you say and adapting and changing what we do to suit your needs. So what we've done is we've introduced our technical route. And again, this is a brilliant qualification. We do the award, certificate, and the diploma. Most centres will again do the certificate in the first year. It's units 1 to 7, and then they'll do 8 to 15 in your second year. Both of these will have a controlled assessment, which allows the learner to build up their study skills and prepare them if they do want to go to university. This is about 5,000 words essay where they can research, use the internet to develop their study skills. And then there is a portfolio which runs across your certificate and your diploma. You only will require this if you are doing your full diploma. Within this, again, it's looking at the skills of the learner and looking at the practical side. With this qualification, what we actually give you is a tutor guidance. It is very current, up to date. It is excellent if you are delivering this qualification to the learners because it really helps and supports you to do that. There's lots of video links, recent papers, everything is current. And these are the UCAS points attached to these qualifications. The certificate equates to 1.5 and your diploma equates to 3. And now I'm going to pass you over to Julie to look at opportunities.
Thank you, Janice. So you've heard a bit about our early years educator suite of qualifications, and there are also qualifications that surround that. So for example, you may want to offer paediatric first aid, you may want to offer food hygiene, food safety. There's lots of what I call additionality qualifications that go alongside having a well-rounded practitioner. The additional qualification, which is also within the proposed apprenticeship standard, is ICT for early years, which is excellent, giving that contextualized learning for ICT, which is really important and becoming even more important for our young practitioners who are having to analyse more and more data for the children in their care. So when we're talking about opportunities, we're also talking about opportunities in relation to some of the challenges that we've had. So we know we've had 2.5 years of reduced level 3s because of the maths and English requirement. So the 43% of nurseries that couldn't recruit now can, and that's a great opportunity for providers, because we know we've seen many adverts of nurseries that are now looking to recruit and take on their level 3s. So the 32% reduction that there was in level 3 starts in the first quarter of 2016 versus the first quarter of 2015 can now be reversed. And we've already seen in April 17 versus April 16 over 50% increase in the number of level 3 starts. And if you've seen the Nursery World article that was out on Monday, then that corroborates that. The 15% is in relation to the increase in level 2 starts that there was in that same quarter. So in the first quarter 16 versus the first quarter 15, there was a 15% increase in the number of level 2 starts. And that was because centres were putting them on their level 2 in order to do their GCSE maths and English as well. So those learners are now coming into the market for their level 3. Parents who were polled throughout the work that we did with SEV, our early years, 72% of them said that they didn't need their practitioners to know Pythagoras theory, but they did need them to have an understanding, to be numerate and literate in order to develop the early education of their children. And the other thing that was really important was that they had the soft skills that were necessary to care for their children. As a parent myself, you want to know that the children that are in the care of that practitioner are being cared for, as well as having their opportunities for development and opportunities for their early education to be given so they can thrive. That's borne out with the 90% of settings that Ofsted have stated in their annual report in December 2016 that are good and outstanding, and that was an increase of 10% based on 15. So we're going in the right direction, and we're going in the right direction with young people who didn't have their GCSE maths and English necessarily because they had the legacy qualifications. The Children and Young People's Workforce Level 3 qualification was what a lot of our practitioners who were in place last September had. And those practitioners now, with their early years educator qualification and their functional skills, can fill those gaps that we desperately need to fill at level 3 for our nurseries to be able to provide the childcare that's needed to meet the government's agenda for the 30 hours of funded childcare. The 3 million talks about the government's wanting to have 3 million starts on apprenticeships, and we need to be able to contribute to that. In 2014-15 there were over 20,000 childcare apprenticeships. We haven't got the figures yet for 15-16, the SFA haven't released them yet, but when they do, I would expect that to have dropped. And we need for it to be back in the days where we were sitting at 24 and 25,000 apprentices on programme, and that's where we can be now. So those opportunities are definitely there. One of the things we talked about coming back to was about CPD. CPD is exceptionally important in our sector. The level 4 qualification enables us to move on to have continuous professional development. But one of the other things that CASH has done, and this is in part supports the workforce strategy that the government announced on the 3rd of March, is that we are launching CASH Alumni. If you wish to get involved, then please do. Please pre-register to become a member or to join our team of content writers. But what is CASH Alumni? Well, this is something that has been asked for by our centres. It's been asked for by our practitioners who over the years have gained their National Nursery Examination Board qualification, their diploma in nursery nursing, their diploma in childcare and education, and the many other titles that we have had over the years. And it's an online value-add members-only platform which gives members the opportunity to engage with past and present learners and their employers. The membership's open to individuals, centres, tutors and employers. We want to be a community of learning and practice, to engage with all those people that we touch and have touched through the lifetime of their learning as an early years educator. It's really important that we have this community that enables people to share their practice, provide case studies, share information on what they are gaining through their development as a professional in the early years sector. Not only do we work in the UK, but we also work internationally. We work in many, many countries, and within those countries we also have some collaborative working with the International Baccalaureate, providing CASH health and social care and early years qualifications as part of the career-related programme to learners of 16 years and over. And we're exceptionally proud of the work that we have done with Save the Children. CASH working with Save the Children, developing child protection training programmes and delivering them to staff in India. And if you are on the call and you are an existing centre, you may well, if you look at the picture on the right, recognise the two people in the middle, because they are Claire Montague on the left and Janet King on the right, our subject specialists. And they were in India delivering that training to the staff of Save the Children. Sustaining a quality skilled workforce is what CASH wants and does and has done for a long, long time. It's at the heart of everything that we do, and it is the heart of what we will be doing in the future. The future of early years looks incredibly bright. There are challenges for funding, challenges in the delivery of the 30 hours funded places, but in order to have our excellent quality practitioners, we need to have excellent quality qualifications, and that's what we will do with your help and with your contributions. We have a future which is really strong, much stronger together with all of you. We work with you to develop the best qualifications. We provide you with an exceptional service, and we want to do the best that we can to nurture the achievement of all our learners and of our professional status. So with that in mind, thank you very, very much for attending today. I hope that you have found it useful and interesting. Thank you to Janice for delivering all of her information with regard to the qualifications. And what we're going to do now is have a look at the questions and provide some answers for you. So the first one is, could you let me know if you're able to send a copy of the PowerPoint through to my email address? Well, the answer to that is that yes, we can. The PowerPoint will be available following on from the webinar closing. So yes, you'll get a copy of the PowerPoint. So the next question is a long one, so just bear with us for 1 second. Janice, are you going to take that one?
Yes, we are actually developing a new qualification.
Do you want to say the question first?
Oh, sorry. Hi, sorry, do apologise. Does CASH have a level 2 childcare course available to post-16 students, which is recognised on the government performance league tables, 16 to 19 from 2018 to 2019? Yes, we are currently developing one with the league tables. Not sure exactly, to be honest, when it will be on there, and there will be a new one that we've done for the level 2. It's again quite current. It's a combination of early years and supporting teaching and learning. It gives learners a bit of breadth across the sector, and it helps them to decide what's going to be the right pathway for them moving forward.
I'm just going to come in there and say as well that what we will do is give updates on new developments of our qualifications on our newsletter. So if you aren't currently registered to gain our newsletter, then if you want to ping us an email, then we can make sure that you are. And that gives all the up-to-date information on forthcoming qualifications. I hope that answers that question.
The next one, the Level 3 Workforce Full-Time course. Is there 2 longitudinal studies for students to be completed from September 2017? The answer to that is no. There is now only 1 longitudinal study, and we have looked and revamped and updated our workforce specification to be more current, and it's what you've actually asked for. Next question. Julie, are you going to take that one?
Bear with me 1 second, I'm just reading them. Okay, I just did want to note that on the slides where we had the list of qualifications, the pathways that we would go through, it's also important to note that on the right-hand side we had the link to the qualifications that were also delivered in Wales and Northern Ireland, because it's important to note that we deliver internationally, and we also deliver to our other devolved nations, so to Wales and Northern Ireland. So the childcare learning and development qualifications at level 2 and at level 3 that are available across in Wales and Northern Ireland were also named on those original slides. And if any further information in relation to those, we are more than happy to cover. So the next one is, are there any plans to permit distance learning colleges to deliver the EYE without having to do assessor visits or anything similar in the pipeline? Well, the early years educator, the criteria means that we have to be able to see and witness by direct observation some of the elements of these skills. So some of it can be delivered in a blended learning way, where some can be delivered online and also face-to-face. So there's a mixed approach to the delivery of the qualification, and it really is dependent and to suit the needs of the provider and the learner. Okay, we're just reading through. There's a question here about the new level 2 technical certificate in childcare, and as soon as we have more information available that's in development currently, then we will be providing it. So as I've said previously, if you want further updates on new qualifications then, and you're not already on the newsletter list, then please, if you want to email info@cash.org.uk, then we will make sure that you are on and can get the most up-to-date information. Well, that looks like that's concluded all the questions that we have received. So that just leaves me to thank Janice, firstly, for covering off all of the qualification information, and to thank you all, more importantly, for attending our The Future of Early Years webinar, and I'm sure this will be the start of many to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you.